Well, let's get started. Hopefully you can hear me at the other end. My name is Michael Crawford. I'm the presenter for this evening, and this is a tutorial on the steel detailer, a free open webinar. Now basically there are a few of you online, and if you've got any questions, can you please send your questions to support at the steel detailer. Basically if we open up the chat, you'll probably find it gets a little muffled and the screen will drop off. Also too, I need to apologise. I've accidentally left my power supply back at the office, and I'm running on battery. Okay, I guess we probably should get started. So this webinar lesson is about creating members that have some sort of advanced sort of componentry in it. Now, when I talk about advanced componentry in the steel detailer, it's just thinking outside the box, thinking a little differently. Also, too, because I am on battery here, it might be a little slower. So please bear with me, and hopefully the speed will work just as well as it should. Alright, so let's just put this over into performance mode so we can chew up some battery. There we go. It might be a little bit brighter for you guys at the other end. Alright, so first thing is, if you can't hear me, yeah, put up your hand. If you can hear me, please just let me know anyway. That way at the other end I want to know that you're there. Alright, so let's get started. First thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you how to put a bank of GIRTs in, which is a member that we can use. So I'm just going to just isolate my driving sketch, because I want to insert on my driving sketch the banked member. So if I go up into my members area and I'm going to select say purlins and GIRTs, I go and open up my GIRTs and TSD, and through the selection of the TSD I've got already preset GIRTs and GIRT walls. Now you can do the same thing with purlins. I'm just going to insert a GIRT wall, and then what we're going to do is we're going to modify that GIRT wall. I'm going to show you how to reuse existing models, upload them to the library, and then we'll create some automatic drawings out of these GIRTs. Now these are two selection processes. You select the horizontal line and the vertical line, and in goes your GIRT wall when you select the tick. Now you can predefine your GIRT walls. You can put in your own door styles, roller doors, headers, your GIRT brackets, also bridging, so the whole lot automatically goes in one hit. And you can set it up in a pattern so that it will automatically update based on what centers you want to use. I'll just give you an example. So that one's just gone in, and I've got a single row of bridging through the middle on each bay, and inside that I've got bolts that are predetermined, ready to go. If you can see the bolts there, ready to go onto a column. Now all I have to do is snap on the driving sketch that's associated to this to a sketch in the background, which is our driving sketch, and I'll just show you what you can put in. So if I exit that and go over and have a look at another door which I've already pre-made, you can see that we go down as far as putting in the bracketry for supporting all the GIRTs. Okay, all these door styles and headers are all punched, all the holes are in, they're set up for Australian standards. You can create your own based on whichever standard you like. Now this wall over here is not attached to anything, so I'm just going to attach it and put it in position so that all the bolts and the holes and everything line up. And to do that, I want to isolate again just the driving sketch and the GIRT wall. Okay, and in the GIRT wall I have a set out sketch which I can edit, and by creating a model and then uploading it to the library, you've got to actually fix everything so that when you do insert it, it doesn't fall apart. So I'm just removing the dimensions that fix everything, and now I'm going to make them all line up with the existing driving sketch. So I'm just making that collinear, and I'm just making this collinear. That lines that up, and underneath here I've got another driving sketch which I've got to find. It's actually hidden, if I can get it. Might be here somewhere. bear with me. It's probably because I've already gone through the process of locking things on. I might have to undo it, but it's in there. I'll just undo it, so bear with me. Undo the sketch, undo that sketch, and go back to where I was when I first got started. So now we can see that this is floating. So now I can just pick that column and make that collinear. So now these things are snapped on, so if I was to change bay distance or anything like that, these GIRTs would automatically update. The bridging is equi-centered, so those two lines are equal, so it means that if I was to change the bay, the centers would still remain. The fascia would automatically update as well because it's set up so that it's equi-centered. And of course if I had purlins across the top, that would also update the bridging across it. Now that sets that up so that if I bring my columns in, you can see through that process that I've lined them up so that they're on top of each other. It means now my holes and my GIRT align. So I'm just going to use an isolation process. For the late arrivers, I'm running on a battery here. I've accidentally left my power supply back at the office. So hopefully the power will last for this 30-minute demo. So now you can see that I've got my holes lined up with that cleat. And they're pre-punched. You can set configurations in your GIRTs so that when you do change your GIRT, you can, however, pretty much adjust that to the centers that are required for the size of the GIRT. Okay, so we've dropped a whole wall in. Now, if I want to drop in a whole new component here, I can use an existing or I can drop in a new one. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put in a fill bay here, and I'll show you how it's done when I'm just going to use existing ones. So in that case I need to just isolate this sketch. Now there's no sketch line there, so I'm just going to put another sketch line in here so that I've got something that I can snap my GIRT onto. This is the driving sketch part that I've created, and also too I've had a sketch that's filling that wall. So I'm just going to put another line in here and it forms the outside shape, and I'm just going to make those two lines equal. Okay, save that sketch, and now I've got my sketch to insert on. So if I go into my members and go to the purlins and GIRTs, I'm just going to select the GIRTs and pick on that. Now I'm just going to go a double bay, and I'm going to show you how to turn that into a single bay. So I'm clicking those two lines to insert my member. Now things will adjust, things will throw out because it's set up for a double bay. But that's okay because we can adjust the sketches inside to match this scenario. Okay, so now that's inserted, and this is where the reds come in because there are some errors in there where we need to remove some things. What I'm going to do is the very first sketch that we've got here, I'm going to remove the attachment and just drag it out, and that'll bring the whole thing back to normal again and remove the errors. Because I'm going to work on this one and create a library component, I need to remove the relationships that are in it. Okay, now there is some bridging I don't want, which is the second row of bridging. I can use the TSD parts delete part, but because this is a second instance of the same item, I'm only simply just going to delete it because I don't want to remove the part from the filing as well. I only just want to remove it from there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over and change the set out sketch so that the set out sketch itself is simply just what I'm after. I only want, in this case, one, why did I do that? I want to have two rows of bridging, don't I? So undo, undo, and it's a good thing that you can do this. Undo the sketch and undo the delete. Because I need the two rows of bridging, I just need to take out the center column, which is this one, because I don't want that. I want the two rows of bridging. So the center row goes. Now to get two rows of bridging, I'm grabbing the equidistance lines that I've got in here, and I'm going to line them all up so that they are equal. Alright. Okay, so that sets up a sketch that pretty much gives us our single bay. You'll also notice that I've got some fixed dimensions on this item that I will have to pull off at some stage, but I'm just going to leave them there because this is going to get uploaded to the library when I'm ready. Also too, there's an error here in my pattern. I've just fixed that up. Okay, it's because there's a GIRT That's right. I need to go into the hole sketch in my GIRT and remove the holes that are not required. So in this case I've got to take out this center holes because they're not being used, and with that I'm taking away, I don't need to take that one, the holes that the lines that form this. Now this is just a sketch that sets up the centers for my holes. Okay, so I'm just pulling that over to there. This just removes the center holes and lines up my holes. Now my holes are going to play up because I've got 2 holes there that are not being used. I go and edit my holes and grab my positions. Now I just highlight over the top and delete. Okay, so now my holes are gone and my GIRT is back to normal. So now I've got a GIRT that is ready for 2 rows of bridging. Now the purlin at the top, which is the fascia, I need to do the same thing with it. So I just go there and edit the sketch. Okay, it's given me the same grief, so that's that line. Now I'm just going to remove that one and that one. Okay, so that's ready, and it's now telling me I just need to remove my holes. So if I edit the feature on that one, go to my positions, hit escape, select those and delete them. So now my purlin for my fascia is sorted. Okay, I've got some mating issues that need to be resolved. Which one is it? I've got a concentric hole, so this is to do with bolts. So now the bolts need to be removed because they're not being used, and I need to remove the bolts from here as well. Okay, so that should put everything back to normal. Okay, so now I've got a driving sketch system that works for a scenario that allows me to be able to insert pretty much straight into a single bay. The only thing that I need to do now is just prepare the cuts at either end, because this is going to be a centralized bay. So to do that I've got to make sure I've got my 5mm cut at this end, which I do in this case. If I look down on top and take a view, okay, you can see that there's a 5mm cut there. Now on the other end, definitely not. So I've got a bit of work to do down this end. So I've got my GIRT wall. I'm just going to take 5mm off this end. So I open up my GIRT, and with cutting I use planes to cut. It just makes things a lot easier with weldments, and that way, you know, if you need to adjust anything, you just double click on the plane and it allows the cut to occur. So I'm just going to grab my right plane and I'm going to put a plane right at the end, which is that one, and I'll label it, say end plane. And then what I'll do is on my end plane, I'm using my shortcut key here to bring up my my menu. I'll come back and I'll put my 5mm in. Now that's my right end cut plane, and now I'm going to trim the cut on that. Now we also need to know that these sketches aren't associated to anything in here, otherwise it'll fall over on us. And the way that we'll find out is as soon as we go and do a cut, but we have to remove or reshuffle the feature tree. So I'm just going to select the member I'm cutting. I'm selecting the face I need to cut. Make sure I've got keep discard occurring. Okay, so now we've got our 5mm. Now I want this end to be attached to that plane, so I don't attach the sketch to the actual cut itself. I'm going to attach it to the plane. Now the column that's in underneath is also attached to this as an in-contextual reference, so I'm just removing that, and now I can actually select that, but I've got to reshuffle my tree to get this to work so that my sketch precedes my trim and my holes follow after it. If you simply just grab it and drag it down underneath and then edit my sketch, I can now put a dimension on the plane that is required to fix that end. Okay. That pretty much sets up the holes 35 in from the end, and I've got a 35 in from the end as well on that one. So that GIRT is now ready and done. So I can save that. Click yep. And with that the bolts have moved to match. Now also too, the fascia, I need to do the same thing with it. I'm just saving here. Okay, now open. So I need to do the same thing with this. I've actually got a trim at the other end. I already have a plane at this end, which is an end plane, and I have a left trim on the other end. So I need to just put a right trim on this end. So it's just a matter of selecting the plane, flipping. This is my right trim plane. Just keep things consistent. And with that, I need to bring my holes up in there and my member sketch up in front of that. That way I can reorder it. And if I hit my exit, I haven't done a trim yet. Sorry, let's go and do our trim. So we can now select the GIRT, the fascia in this case, and select the trim. Make sure that we've got keep and discard. Okay, so we've got our trim in place. Need to bring the hole in front of that and the sketch in front of that so we can select the plane and associate ourselves with that. Now this one's got a collinear relationship, and I'm going to select the plane and give that a 35 as well. Now I'll show you what this all means in just a sec, why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now we also know that in this process from before, we've got 5mm on each side, which gives us room to lap GIRTs in this case, next to each other. Okay, so that's all set, ready to go. So we can simply just save that now, and I might just grab this sketch here and make it roughly 6 meters, because 6 meters is a stock standard sort of a bay in most building structure. So we've got our double bay of bridging, and you'll notice that it's all updated now. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to add this to the library so that I can reuse it over and over again, and it's all ready to go, it's all set. So let's go to our members and we go upload member, and under our model discipline we want structural. We want to change that to GIRTs and TSD in this case, and then you hit the tick. Okay, so now that'll do an audit. It tells me that there are some issues in here that need to be fixed. Now this is something that we came across this morning, and I think from memory it's a speed pack update. So as soon as we go update speed pack and then go back again, now we use speed pack with large models, works quite well. Obviously when it comes to creating drawings, there's some methods that you'll have to learn, because there used to be a feature where you couldn't cut sections through the speed pack. You can now, but there's a certain process involved in doing it, because you can't do section depth cuts. Okay, now let's do that again. Structural, GIRTs, TSD, and hit the tick and fingers crossed. No, not going to fix it. Okay, so in this instance what we've got to do is, because it's playing up with bolts, and you'll get a good look at how we actually put the bolts in as well, which is really good. So I've just removed all the bolts from the system. Okay, now if I do an upload, we can come back, put the bolts back in, by the way. We just want to test this process to make sure that it's working okay first. So hit the tick and upload that to the library, and that's gone in straight away. It's interesting that the bolts have caused the issue for it not to upload, but that's okay, because what I've done over on the right hand side under the fasteners here, I've added a design library folder which is pointing to C the steel detailer and fasteners, and in there I've actually got a purlin bolt. So the purlin bolt itself we can actually drag in and place. Now you can put smarts on these, you know, so that they automatically sit in centered, and the mates automatically come in for you. I'm just going to go through a process so that you can see how the mating process works. Now this is going to be a plate, so I'm just going to give myself say 10mm there. It can be a 6mm plate. The purlin bolt comes stock standard at a certain length, so I'm not too worried about how it looks as long as I count it, which is really crucial, because you want to be able to count it when you do your bolt schedules. Now the bolt itself is not fully fixed, so I'm just going to fix that to the front plane and make it parallel. And now I've got a bolt. Now with TSD, all bolts are made virtual, and that's to help filtering of the bolts, and we also exclude them from the bill of materials, and there's a reason for that. We can hide the bolts if we don't want them, and that's the filtering process. So if they're virtual and they're excluded from the bill of materials, I can hide them. Now you might find that funny, hiding them from the bill of materials. It gets picked up by TSD anyway in the database when we do a lock, so it captures it in the database. Alright, so now we've got our bolt. we want to put the bolt everywhere else in the program, in the actual member. So if we click the distance and the parallel here, I'm using copy with mates, and copy with mates is pretty good. One of the best tools that SolidWorks came out with, so that we can just put fasteners in willy-nilly. So I'm just adding in a couple of fasteners here, just picking the cylinder because it's the only thing that's different. Everything else is the same. Now I should be able to, by rights, just add that to a pattern, all those bolts. And be aware that when you do exclude the items from the bill of materials and you put them into a pattern, it doesn't actually inherit the excluded from bill of materials, which is a bit odd, but it happens. So then you've got to go through each one of those and then exclude them from the bill of materials. So now we've got ourselves our bolts in place. Okay, and see how when I go and select down inside the pattern for the bolts, I've still got to exclude those from the bill of materials as well. Alright, so now I should be able to upload that. Now with members, if you've already uploaded something, you can go in and modify existing members and select them and remove them. So I've already uploaded that, but I'm going to remove it. And I'm just saving now. You make sure you save and update. No drawings are open, they're just things that you have to do before you upload. Now I'm just going to try this again. It was really odd that it didn't work the first time. If it doesn't work this time, then yeah, it looks like it's got a glitch. The fact that these are virtual bolts and they've been called up as non-virtual is a bit of an issue. But that's how you put fasteners in. It's a bit of touch and go as well, depending on how you set this up. I might need to update my speed pack. That's also been a bit of a pain. So I'm just going to edit the speed pack, and I'm going to put in the sections that I want to put into the speed pack to show them if I do determine my speed pack or set it up down the track. Alright, so we just click that, set that up. Now what we're going to do is upload this again. If it fails, then I'll just remove the fasteners and we'll do it without it. It does work. It's a bit of touch and go, like I said. So we'll give this one more go and upload. No, it's not liking it. Alright, always happens when you want to demonstrate something. So I'll take the fasteners out. So you've seen how the fasteners work. Now at the moment I'm just going to upload that so we've got it in our library. And GIRTs. So that's been added now. Now it's floating, it's not been fixed to anything. Now because it's been added to the library, I can simply just go in and go delete member, right, and bring in the new member in over the top, and that'll fix it in place for me. Alright, so that's deleted it, and it would have deleted it from the files, and it's deleted it from the database. Alright, so now we're going to insert the one that we just added to the library. We can go crazy because now we've got it in there. We can pick those two lines and that'll automatically update for me. Okay, so now this is just one step, and we can on the other side duplicate the same set of GIRTs and the same bridging as well. Okay, so on the other side of my building I've got the same scenario happening here. I go into my driving sketch. I'm just going to put another sketch in play here. I've already got one there. I need to put another one here. Okay, make that one equal to that one. That fixes that. Plus I need to add a horizontal across the bottom. Now if I was laying this out I would have already had it done. I'm just showing you that you have to add these components to use the system that I've created. You can create your own system in any way, shape or form. So now I've got the same GIRTs over here, and why not just copy them over the other side? It only makes sense, wouldn't it? But instead of copy, we duplicate. So you can actually go up into the members and go duplicate. Now what duplicate is just a second instance of the same model, so it just puts a second one in. Whereas copy, oops, I must have missed a line there. We'll have another go. Let's put it in on the second selection. And you can do that, you can add and remove, it's not a big drama. Now what you can do, I'm just going to do the same thing again. So duplicate member, pick the member, pick the horizontal line, and then just insert it. Okay, so now we've got two lots of bridging, girts and bridging. Alright, so you can get a fair idea that you can actually populate an entire building quite quickly once you've got your little library in place. You know, if a client says, oh, I want a roller door in over here, you can, you know, set yourself up with a roller door model so that you can swap these things in and out. But the beautiful thing is that once you've created this, you can use the TSD drawings, Perlin drawings, click all GIRTs. Now this will automatically create all your drawings for you as far as the GIRTs go. So we just click create. Now at your end you may not see the processes happening, but what it's doing is it's going through every GIRT in the job, every fascia that was there and in the processes. Now you might get a white screen, which I apologise for, is because of the battery, and it's counting the holes, it's getting the section size, and now it's opening up drawings. Now it's updating dimensions, it's populating the size, the mark number, and punching. So you're pretty much right to go. Now if you've got more GIRTs than what's in the job, it'll start up a second drawing and total that as well. So once upon a time, years ago, we used to copy those hole centers off and put them on an order form. They're A3 drawings that have been set up, so all you need to do is just cut them in half and send them via fax. Okay, now that's just GIRTs. That's how GIRTs are done. You can do the same thing with Perlins. Perlins are exactly the same. The aim is to produce something very quickly based on you know, some models that you may set up. Now you can also go in and change your picture, your image, which is this image here. If you go into the back end, and we'll just grab this picture, and this image that you see here that you select, you can actually, you know, go in and type over the top of it. It's just a picture in the database. So if I was to go into my my library in the back end, which is TSD library, and in there I've got my member library, and in my member library I have pictures. So I can go in, and this is the member library that we have with concrete panels and all sorts of things going on. There's the last one we did. Now you could use Photo View 360 if you've got it and re-render a picture over the top of it, or you can simply just go into Paint and go C150s so that you know that that's what that is, and you've got yourself a library model that you can just drag and drop straight in, already set up for C150 12s, and just save it. The beautiful thing about that is when you do change those and you go to bring them in, using your selection, it'll come up with the text inside the image so that you know what you're inserting. And you put any kind of text. You can even use a different type of image if you want them, and it's up to you at the end of the day. So hopefully that's taught you a little bit about some advanced modelling techniques with the steel detailer. And if you've got any questions, please send them to support@thesteeldetailer. And this is a recorded version, so if you've attended today, you will get a copy of this in your email system, so that you can you know, go over some of the things that I've done. I guess the next stage after this is you know, I'm slowly building this building, and it's going to get to a point where it'll be done. I am going to supply this building to our customers so that they can play and get familiar with it. The whole thing is completely parametric, so if I do make a change, you can play with it too when you get it. You know, I can change the bays, so if I go in and change my grids, in this instance I just change that to say 8 meters. Obviously if it was going to be 8 meters, it'd probably go to a C200 and then things would change, but I'm just demonstrating that you know, if you do that and then do a rebuild, things do update, they do change, and because they're all associated, you know, they do stretch, which is not something you get in a lot of packages like this TSD functionality. So I'm just pointing that out. Yes, you can change things, and when you do get this model, you can play with it. Okay, well, thanks very much for your time, and hopefully you've learned a little bit, and we hope to see you again next Wednesday at the same time. Okay, thanks for your time, guys.